my gosh, so Magdalene Rose is here. I'm freaking excited. I've been looking forward to
Yay!
this one for a while, for a minute. So my buddy Nate, who you know, Nate Parrish,
Yes.
was on the road with you guys, and that's how I came across your stuff.
Okay.
And I spent most of my young life chasing good Christian metal
Yeah.
and trying to find it. And there wasn't a lot available
I
in the
know. We've
early
gone through
90s. And
like a drought season too, because it seemed like there was a ton of cool, like great ones to listen to, and I was really late to the trend. And then
mhm.
like I'm like, oh, all these bands I can listen to, and they either broke up, they're not touring anymore, they don't make Christian music anymore, they for whatever
Cyclical.
reason do a different type of music, like they went lighter or whatever. And so I'm like, oh, where are all the people?
I do think people tend to mellow out as they go
Yeah, and
just a
I,
little
I
bit.
I can understand it's hard on your voice, it's hard on your body, it's hard on just touring it in general and everything, and it gets harder to do as you're not as flexible anymore.
Yeah, I was never a growler. I never had that capability, and it blew my mind when people could do it because I'm like, I get it. Like you can let one out here and there, but dude, night
Uh-huh.
after night after night, oh, how in
Yeah.
the world?
It's usually as long as you warm up and you get rest and you're hydrating, it's usually pretty good, but the last run that we were on, my in-ears had broken, and so I was using an old pair while my new ones were getting fixed, and I just could not hear anything, and
Oh,
like
that's the
it was a
worst.
month-long tour doing 5 shows in a row, 1 day off, back to 4 shows in a row, 1 day off. And by the end of it, I was like, I need to just not talk for a
Yeah,
good like 4 days and just sleep. And then hopefully my in-ears will be in. And they came in at the end of that run, so it helped at least a little bit because I could actually hear it. I wasn't like straining my voice every night, but
yeah.
that one
Because
was a
when you
tough
can't hear
one.
yourself, that you
Yeah,
naturally compensate. Like you go
yeah.
harder to make
Was
yourself
you
hear
would think
yourself.
that you would know, like with the amount of shows that we do, like you think I would just know, like, oh no, it just is supposed to feel like this. You don't have to overcompensate, but it's like no, you just go into panic mode and you're like, I have to go louder because I can't hear.
Dude, this is so awesome. I'm talking to a lot of different people on this show. We recorded like 12 or 13 episodes so far, and
Oh wow.
it's a vast array of Christians because everybody's got a great story, and I want to hear them
Yeah.
all. But there's a special place in my heart for the touring musician, and even more so for the hard rock and heavy metal crowd because that was the dream at one point in another life,
Yeah.
a much younger life. So okay, so for people that are gonna listen that don't know Magdalene Rose, now that's your name. Are you a solo artist? Is that the name of the band? How does it?
It's a little bit of both. So it's my
Okay.
name, and I like kind of am a solo artist, but I am a band as well because I didn't want to just be somebody going out and performing to either tracks or like just a guitar player. I wanted to have a full
Mm-hmm.
band, and especially recently now that we've got members that are like solidified, because for a while it was just kind of like me, Blaise Weston, and then we had Eli who played bass for a little bit, but then he swapped out, and we had a guy named Jason play guitar for us for a little bit, and then he swapped out, and then Weston left to help with a church plant for a little bit. So then we had a guy
Oh,
named
nice.
Zach, and now Weston is back, and Zach is staying with us. So now we have like a solid band. We're like not switching out touring members anymore. We're like, okay, as long as everything goes great, like this would be the four, and this would be awesome for this to be us. So especially recently
Awesome.
having everybody back, I've been trying to push like this is a band, having all the guys on the posters, and that was kind of hard to do when you didn't know if people were going to stay or not. But I definitely wanted it to be a band and not just like one person on stage or something like that. So I think that's been kind of cool to transition into performing and pushing as a band. And obviously there's still times where it's like it's my name, and so sometimes people just associate it with my face, and so you have to kind of push that on social media too. But I'm trying to get people to understand that it's like a whole group, and that's really cool.
Honestly, my first impression was that it was a band. I didn't realize it was your actual name. I just thought
Yeah.
that's the coolest band name I've ever heard. Like that is playing on the Magdalene thing, and like that just sounded like a metal band's name. And then after doing a little bit of research, I was like, oh, that's her real name. What a trip!
Yeah, who would have thought? My mother did not even know that. Like one day she would have a band. Like,
Yeah, she was giving you a band name. She didn't even know it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. So you are out on the road currently with Seventh Day
Yes.
Slumber, and you
Yes.
guys have been out on the road together for a little while, right?
Yeah,
Just
we
I'm kind
have
of
been
catching you in
touring
the middle.
together for a few years now. They've been
Okay.
able to bring me on since we started Magdalene Rose. And every once in a while we'll bring on some other people. Like you said, your friend Nate Parrish was able to come on the road with us. And Jason Dunn, who was the original singer for Hawk Nelson, he's performing as a new like solo artist. So he was on the road with us. We had Don Michelle's new band, Altira, and she
Oh
was able to
yes.
come on the road with us. That was really cool because normally I'm outnumbered by the boys in the bus. So that was really fun to have three extra girls. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, we're kind of right now, it's just me and Seventh Day on the road, and just hitting up the entire USA.
That is wild. I'm not kidding. Like I'm listening to you talk, and the whole time there's this little voice in the back of my head going, maybe someday she'll need a bass player, and then you can like call her up and be. And my wife would be like, "Where are you going? No, this is not
No,
happening.
no,
You're That's over. Do your podcast. Stay home. You're done."
no.
We met later in life. My dreams were dashed at that point. I had already decided
Oh
to settle when I met her. So
no.
she's not. Yeah, there's no way I'm going back there now that we're
Right.
definitely locked into a
Yeah, it
non
definitely
hit the
is
road life.
hard to get back into that because it's just a different life in general.
It's
Like,
wild, but you kind of married into it though.
yeah,
Like you, because you're married
yeah, it's
to
to Blaise. So Blaise, my
yeah.
husband,
Mhm.
we actually met because I was in another band with my sisters called GFM from when
Okay.
I was 11 all the way up until I was 22. Yeah, 22. Um,
Okay.
and Seventh Day
11.
Slumber took us. Yeah.
So you
we
started this journey early.
Yeah, my parents were really, really cool about being like supportive of whatever we wanted to do. Like for a while, my older sister played sports. I was in dance, and then it switched to us being in jujitsu and doing like jujitsu tournaments. And
Yeah.
my dad was just really big on like, you can do whatever you want to do. Like if it's a boy thing, it doesn't have to be a boy thing. You can do that. Like you're tough, you're a girl, like you can be strong, like whatever. And so they were just always trying to get us to figure out what we wanted to do in life and help us to have extra skills and round out our personality. And my dad was a really big like 80s rock fan, and he
Oh
grew up
yeah.
taking his little brother to like Motley Crue concerts and Poison and um
I think me and your
like
dad would get along.
yeah, and so he raised us on that, and he was like, I have to bring you to concerts, and we had never been to a concert before. And he was like, obviously I can't take my like 8-year-old daughters to Motley Crue, like I'm not gonna do that.
It
But
might be
he's
a
like,
little early.
what can I find that's something more age appropriate for them? And there were these two girls that had been going to the church that I grew up in, and they dressed the way I do now, and I always thought they looked so cool. And one day they came to church in Skillet like concert t-shirts with the tour dates on the back, and my dad was like, "What band is that? That looks really cool." And they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, it's this band
Skillet.
called Skillet. We love them. We just came from their concert this weekend." And so he looked it up, and he's like, "Girls, I found which concert I'm taking you to." And
That's
it was just
awesome.
so cool. We had no clue what to do because we had never been to a rock concert before, and we were just standing there like, what's happening? And but it was like it was so cool, and I was like, okay, this is awesome. And we had all just been playing different instruments already, and my dad was like, wouldn't it be so cool if you guys just had your own band and you can just play cover songs, if you want to play those songs that you saw at the concert, you can play
Best way to
those.
start.
And we just did, and we're like, okay. And we just played cover music. We were playing Skillet songs, we were playing Casting Crown songs, like the old Jeremy Camp like rock songs, like stuff like
Mm.
that. Like he raised us on Petra, and so like some Petra songs were thrown in there. And then I think when I was like 11 is when we started to like kind of try for original music. And the guy who was teaching me and my sister guitar and bass and my little sister drums, we all kind of would come together once a week outside of our like regular music lessons, and it would be like a band lesson, and we would all like write together, and my dad would write lyrics, and like we would pick apart different lyrics and like move them around. And so we had a lot of like help learning it in the beginning, which was really cool because I think that's kind of rare, especially with parents. I think sometimes it's a little bit, the music is not always something that's understood, or like they just don't know how to do it, or even if they think it's cool, they like don't want to be involved. And so I think it was really cool that my parents were so involved with it, and like my dad wanted to help out and like really, I don't know, like help us learn that. And so then we started playing shows, and it was all like local shows. And then as we started to get older, like my parents got a like a trailer that we could take to like South Carolina, because I grew up in Florida. So we would go to South
Okay.
Carolina and Georgia and like regional shows. And then we put out our first album when I was 15, and our radio promoter at the time, we had gotten connected through the guys who were recording us. He knew Joseph from Seventh Day Slumber when they had first moved to Nashville. And he was like, you guys need to get on a tour. Like, that's kind of the next step. Like, we're going to try to pitch you to Christian radio. And that's really cool. But like, if people are hearing your songs, then they need to see you live so they can know you're a band that's going to stick around. Like, that's how you grow as a band. You need to get in front of people. And
Yep.
he's like, I got a friend I'm going to reach out to. They've been known to bring newer bands on the road and teach them, or like older bands that are almost retiring or like have just kind of stopped touring because there's just not a lot of money always in the music industry. And so he's been known to bring them out on the road and like restart up their career. He's like, I really think that would be a good fit for you guys to start with. And it took a little bit of convincing because we were not great. And eventually we were able to get on a tour with Seventh Day Slumber, and they taught us so much, and it just helped like catapult our career for the time that we were playing together. And that's how I met my husband. He was playing drums for Seventh Day Slumber already, and his two little brothers were on the road. And so it was people like our age. Like my sisters, I had an older sister and a younger sister, and all of us were the same age as Blaise and his little brothers. And so we're like, oh my goodness, kids to hang out with. We can play video games with people. We can talk about the shows that we watch. Like, this is the first time we've had friends who understand our life and understand like how to be friends in different cities and like understand tour life. And all of us just became like instantly super close. And even when we weren't on tour, we were playing video games together and getting really close as family, which was really cool. And in 2022, God kind of called all of us out of GFM, which was really hard and confusing and a whole thing. And then I moved up to Nashville because I felt like I was still supposed to do music. And Joseph and Lori were just like, "We'll help you figure it out. Like, we've done this. We did it with your sister's band. We can help you figure it out." Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I was already dating Blaise at that time, and so I started touring with them, and we got married a couple years after that. And it was, we dated for 7 years, so it wasn't like I'm married into it so I can have a career. Like, we were together for
You
the
guys
long
spent a
haul.
lot of years
Like,
together. Yeah, because
we
I mean,
were
Seventh Day
gonna get
Slumber's
married
been
either
doing this
way.
for as long as I can remember. I
Yeah,
mean,
and so
I've
they
been
just
hearing that
took me under
name
their
and
wing, and they're some of the best people in my life. Obviously, like, they're my family now, which is even cooler. But even if they
right,
weren't my family, they're some of the best people I know. And I think that's helped make it really cool because I get to travel with my husband now, and we get to make
right.
music together. And it's just helped deepen our relationship even more because, we were long distance for so long and it sucked so bad. And so now I get to be with him all the time, which is really, really cool.
That is epic. So I mean, this is a lifelong journey for you. Like, this started very young, and was it always Christian music that you? 'Cause obviously, you're raised on a bunch of great non-Christian music that I absolutely love. Um, but with the music you've made, has it always been Christian music that you've
Yeah,
written and
the
recorded?
music that I've made has always been some type of Christian. Sometimes it's a little bit more apparent, and then other times it's more like the things that God has delivered me from. And maybe I don't necessarily say the name of Jesus in the song, but it comes from a place of God's deliverance in my life. And um, I think just seeing, all the different sides of music, because I grew up on bands like Skillet and Petra, but then once I started to get into my teenage years, I found bands like Bream the Horizon and Asking Alexandria. And I started like predominantly listening to like non-Christian metal just because it was the newer bands that I was finding. And
And honestly, for a long time, it was better.
yeah, and
It
I
was
think
hard to
that was
find
part of
really
it
good
too.
Christian metal.
Yeah, and so I think when I started making music, I was like, okay, well, obviously I believe in Jesus, and there's so many things that he has done in my life, especially now, like being older and finding my voice. It's like, okay, I literally would not be alive if it wasn't for Jesus's hand in my life. And
Mhm.
if I really, really believe in helping people, then I need to be able to tell them. And, I want my music to say something. I don't want to just make noise. I don't want to just write about whatever. Like, I want to write about things that are meaningful and things that will hopefully help people. And, I want to give them that extra length of hope. And I think sometimes, there's bands that I still do love in like the mainstream market, and they're starting to talk about mental health and talking
Mhm.
about getting help, but there are some songs that they just, I don't know, you're just kind of sitting in your sickness together and there is no answer. And I'm like, I found an answer. So I want to be able to go into those spaces and give people an answer. And it's like, yes, I know how you feel. I've been there. Sometimes I am there. Like I'm back in that spot, but I know how to get out and we don't have to stay here. And I think that's what's been driving me to continue to make Christian music. And, I don't always stay in the Christian like sphere of things. We do general market
Mhm.
tours and play at clubs and stuff just because sometimes they are a little bit more accepting. And
Yeah.
sometimes churches don't want to have us, which is like rightfully so. Everybody is allowed to have whatever music they want in their own venue, and some churches don't want to have concerts, which is totally understand. But I think it's cool that we've been able to play to both, and we our music is digestible enough to be in churches, but also in clubs and bars, and where people are like, "Oh, this is really good. Oh, it's Christian. That's cool." Like, and I think that
Yeah.
helps it start a
He,
conversation. And
I think he talked about a great area for the crossover because metal and hard rock, in its kind of nature, talks about more intense stuff
yeah,
than other genres of music. And I think because everybody's been through intense stuff, or everybody's been through something in their life.
hmm,
That's a really good crossover point where you can deal with the darker parts of life, as metal
yeah,
generally does, while recognizing the deliverance. And it's a
hmm,
great way to tell a real kind of raw story. I mean, your song Teeth Eater, right? I mean,
hmm.
that's an intense song.
Yeah, and I think you know when I was finding bands, I stumbled across Memphis Mayfire, and they were
Oh
writing
yeah.
about things like that. Maddie is a Christian and has spoken about it and has started organizations with his wife to help like people struggling with their mental health. And seeing them write songs about people struggling with self-harm or suicide or really tough things, but just being honest about it, made me like, I don't know, just realize, okay, we don't have to like brush things under the rug or beat around the bush and be like, oh, well, yes, life is bad sometimes. It's like, no, like if there are things that you are like specifically struggling with, it's important that we specifically talk about them. And, I didn't have people to talk about my eating disorder with. It was uncomfortable and I was embarrassed and scared, and I didn't quite know if this was a problem, and then it very quickly became a problem and I didn't know how to get out of that cycle. And there wasn't really anybody talking about that sort of thing. And it's cool to see more people are being honest about it now. I'm seeing people post about their 9 year sobriety from an eating disorder and recovering, and that's really really cool. And the more we talk about it just openly, being like, yeah, I struggle with anorexia. It's a disease that kills you. Like it's a very
Yeah.
real thing, and it's not just girls that struggle with it. Guys can struggle with it. Older people can struggle with it. Younger people can struggle with it. But let's talk about it because there is healing that's available. But if we don't talk about it, if we don't put it out there, it just gets worse when you're suffering by yourself.
I do like that, especially in the last. And I can say, I mean, I've been around for 44 years now, which is a decent amount of time. And I've lived through a couple of eras, and the past 10 years, and especially the last 5 years, the some
Mhm.
of the stigmas of mental health that have come crushing down, which is
Yeah.
wonderful. And the ability to talk about it has been amazing. I mean, I
Yeah.
love that we are just recognizing these things for what they are. I mean, I don't know if you know the band Shinedown.
Hmm.
They're old friends of mine, and Eric just announced today, he's like, hey, I'm going to take the first however much I need to off of this next leg of the tour. I got a lot of mental health stuff I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Things are getting better, but he was like, they're a big advocate for mental health band,
Hmm.
and they talk incessantly about it at their shows, which is great, and they've been a good force in, like, guys, this everybody struggles with something. Don't
Yeah.
put people's struggles into a box like, oh, that's a struggle we can't talk about, while this one we can.
Right.
Let it let's let it out, and especially when it comes to a Christian talking about this stuff. This is
Hmm.
There's healing here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And I
and
think,
the name of Jesus is a something that needs to be a part of this conversation.
yeah. And I think sometimes there's been an issue in churches, unfortunately, that don't either want to talk about it or they demonize a lot of these struggles. And so
Mhm.
I think it's our job too as Christians to tell people, like, hey, sometimes you just need a little bit of extra help. And God created doctors, He created therapists, He put that calling on people's hearts for a reason.
Amen.
And it doesn't mean your faith is weak, it doesn't make you less of a person. And, those things that we tell people sometimes get in the way of their own healing, because then they're not going to be able to go get help because they feel shame, and that shouldn't be the case. We tell people to go to the doctor if they're physically sick. If they're having a heart attack, go to
Absolutely.
the hospital. But for some reason, if their brain is sick, the wires get crossed for whatever reason, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's not the case. And I think that's really, really been cool. The more I've been sharing about it, the more churches that are coming alongside me saying, yes, this is what we believe. And I've worked with churches that have counseling centers like right next door, and some of their members are being taught how to like be basically like a layperson counselor. And then if they realize, oh, you might need like professional help, then they can just refer them, and there's free like counseling next door, which is really, really cool. And I think
That
that's
is cool.
been like a game changer, especially, trying to, for the churches that are trying to do better and trying to help and be brighter and louder than some of the churches that are doing damage. I think that's been cool to come alongside them and be like, okay, well, no, this is Jesus's love looks like this, and there is healing, and there's healing in very different ways, and God can use whatever He wants to use. And
Yeah.
please don't listen to the people that are saying all these terrible things to you. And it's
Yeah.
hard though.
I
It
mean,
is a
can
battle.
God
Like,
miraculously heal things like a mental illness? Absolutely. I
absolutely,
believe
yeah.
in the power of God's healing, but at the same time, God likes to. I've learned this throughout my life. God likes to use people in His work.
Hmm.
He doesn't need
Yeah,
them, but He
yeah,
loves using them. So God
yeah,
likes to use doctors and therapists,
yeah,
and right, that He,
yeah.
like
It
you said,
just,
He made these people for a reason. He put this on their
yeah,
heart for a reason.
yeah, and continues to just, when things happen, you're like, there's no way a human could have done that. It's like, oh, yeah, because God was working through them, and like that's how it was able to happen. Like, normal people can't do this stuff, and like God gets
Right.
glorified through it. Like,
Absolutely. So you've been doing this a long time, and it's always been, had its air of a Jesus involvement in it.
mhm.
When was the gospel a personal thing? When did that turn into a personal thing for you? Do you remember was there like a moment?
Um, I think it was more like a gradual thing because, I grew up in a Christian home. Jesus was always just talked about. It was always just, a knowledge thing there. Like, it was like, oh yeah, God's real. I believe in that. And when I was 11, I think it really started to click, and I was like, okay, I really believe in this Jesus guy. Like, he's really real. I really want him to have control of my life. But you're still
Mhm.
young, and you still don't know a lot of things. And so I started to get kind of grow from there and struggle with my mental health a little bit, and deal with a little bit of the stigmatism where it's like, okay, well, we don't talk about this. And um when I was 16, that's when I really started to struggle with my eating disorder, and a lot of insecurities, a lot of just comparing myself to these perfect people that I saw online, that I didn't know filters were a thing. I didn't know editing was a thing. I didn't know people had access to specific doctors and makeup artists and everything to make them not even look like
Mhm.
themselves. And, I think sometimes you're like somewhat aware of it, but your teenage brain doesn't completely grasp that that's not even a real person. It's like, well, that's still something that I should be able to achieve. And it's like, you're still a growing body. Like you
Yeah.
need to let your body take its course. And um that was when we really started to travel as a band. So I was in front of a lot more people, and I had put this expectation on myself to, I don't know, like just be perfect. And that's obviously not possible. And there were things that I didn't like about myself. And anytime I looked in the mirror, it was just like hatred for what I saw, because this is not what I want to be. And that really fueled all of the struggles that I was having mentally. And I wasn't dealing with them. I was just letting them run rampant. And, I had somewhat been talking to God, but we kind of had a strained relationship, because I was like, I can figure this out. Like, I don't really struggle with that much stuff. Like, there's people who need God's help a lot more than I do. And, um, we had been pulled out of school to do homeschool, to start traveling a lot more. There wasn't a lot of things that I could control in my life. And so the one thing I could control was food. And it just became an obsession. And it wasn't just about looking a certain way or being healthy anymore. It was like a disease that was rotting my brain. And the only thing that I could think of was, I need to stop eating. And I don't deserve to take up space here. I don't deserve to be here. And it's just like I don't know, your brain gets so sick that you don't even realize it sometimes. And my husband was talking to me after, because my dad had stepped in at one point, and he was like, this has become a really, really bad problem. And I know if I don't say something now, I'm going to lose you. And I don't want to lose my daughter. And, I've tried to kind of say some things here and there to see if you could pull yourself out, because I know you're strong and I know you can figure things out. But I think this has gotten ahead of you, and I really don't want you to die. Like, that's the only way this ends. Like, you're not feeding yourself, you're not eating, and your body is shutting down. I had lost a lot of function in my reproductive system already. Like, I was severely underweight, and it was never enough. And so I was trying to work with my dad. I was starting to kind of gain weight, but every time I would start to move in the right direction, it would just like, I would freak out. I was like, I can't do this. And I would just drop everything immediately. And then we'd have to talk again. And, he had this diet plan for me. And like every hour on the hour, I had to check in with him. He would sit with me while I was eating to make sure I actually ate the food that my body needed. And it was just this battle in my head, because I knew that that was obviously important. Like, I think it's a basic human function to know that you need to eat, but it was just like, it took everything in me to do that. And I was like, why is this such an issue? Like, God, why are you not fixing me? Why do I have this problem? And I'm going out here telling people about you, and nothing is getting better. Like, why is this even an issue to begin with? And my husband Blaise was talking to me, and we were just friends at the time, and he was like, Maggie, I think you don't want to get better. Like, I think you're just angry with yourself. I think you're angry with God. And I think you're getting to these sections where you get better and then you just stop because you don't actually want to. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I can tell, like, you freak out anytime you start to make progress. I think that's what you need to be praying for. Like, obviously God can heal you, but if he heals you, you're just going to go run right back to that. If he doesn't heal the actual problem of you wanting to stay sick. And I was like, okay, you're my friend. I hope that we're more than friends in the future, so I don't want to say anything to mess this up. So obviously I'm not going to like argue with that. And like, I can see what you're saying, but I don't like that you're saying it. And so I was like, maybe I'll just start praying that, even if I don't 100% believe it, maybe I'll just do it to like do it or whatever. And I was filling up notebooks with like angry prayers and crying and asking God why he wouldn't fix me, and then saying, okay, God, apparently I'm supposed to want to get better, because I guess I don't want to, and I don't even know what that looks like. But if you could help me want to, I guess I need that. And the more that I angrily prayed it, the more I cried and prayed it, the more I just was in frustration praying that, the more my brain started to kind of understand that. And it wasn't an immediate thing. It took months to even feel open to the idea of wanting to get better. And then when I started to feel open to it, I was like, okay, wait, maybe this is what I need. And then I would like actually fully believe, like, God, please help me want this because I don't want to die. I don't want to stay like this forever. Like, I want to get to a place where I'm healthy and I can hopefully have children and I can live a normal life and I don't have to fight myself to eat every time I go and sit in front of a plate of food. Like, I know this isn't right. So can you help me want that? Because I really don't want to. And it's so scary. And like, this has become so normal for me and I don't know how to do this by myself. And it took a few years, but we I would make really, really good progress and then I would fall back and I would have people come alongside me and help me like get back up and keep fighting the next day. And it took several years, but I was able to gain that weight and hold that weight and be healthy. My body started to work somewhat normal again. And it wasn't a fight to eat, but it was a fight to make those voices go away. And I thought that was something I'd have to deal with forever because I was like, well, I guess I got myself into this problem and there's consequences to your actions. So thank you, God, for healing me. I will just, I guess, tell myself to stop thinking this every time I eat. Like, I can at least eat now. That's not a problem. And when we started Magdalene Rose, my husband Blaise was like, "Hey, I think we should tell your story. I think stuff like this isn't always talked about. You're trying to figure out who you are as a person, and that's a really big part of your story, and it's something that God like walked alongside you and helped heal you from. And I think there's a lot of people who could get help from that." And so we started to tell people about my story. We released the song and told people the story behind the song. And when we started performing it live, I would share my story for a little bit right before we played it. And I was just telling people like healing is possible. You don't have to stay this way forever. And then the first holiday after that, I was just in the kitchen helping people make food and sitting and eating with everybody. And it just like dawned on me that I was not like struggling at all. There was no voices I had to silence. There was no like battle I had within myself to eat. And holidays used to like suck so bad for me because everything is centered around food. And
Everything.
it's just, I felt like the weirdo all the time because I was like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable here, but I want to be with everybody. So I'm just gonna sit on the outskirts and like have my little plate of food and battle myself. And I was just, just welcomed back to the table and in the center of it all. And I didn't even recognize it until like something in me clicked. And I was like, wait, this is way different. This is way easier. Like, is this what like it really feels like? And
It was
it
so
was,
gradual you didn't notice it, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden it dawned on you.
yeah.
I
And
think I
that,
think what sounded like a turning point as I'm listening to your story, and I love that you mentioned this, was when your prayers got really raw,
mhm,
right? I mean, you went in frustration, and my pastor has said this so many times about various things. Like, even if you don't want to do something, you just wish you wanted to. That's
yeah,
God still working in you, giving you that
yeah,
want to want. And when you can pray from that honest of a place, like, I don't even know how to want this.
yeah,
I don't even know how to want to love you today, God. I don't even know how to
yeah,
want to read your word today, God. I don't
mhm,
even know how to want to let you work in my life how you need to.
mhm,
Can you help me want it? Like,
yeah.
that's a raw place to be. I think he does good work there.
Yeah, and it's a hard place to be because it's like, what do I do if I continue to pray this and it feels like nothing happens? And I struggled with depression in between that time, and it got really bad, and I didn't want to live. And there were times where I was just thinking about just all the time, just I want to go away. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to deal with this. Everything is too hard. It's too heavy. I can't live like this anymore. And I was closer to God in that time. He was all I had. I had to be away from my family, and I was like, God, why is this still so bad? Like, you are all I have. I'm talking to you. I'm being honest with you. I've cried with you. I don't know how to make this go away. And I'm asking you, and it's not going away. Like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to stay like this forever. And, I've had a really, really hard time with control my entire life, wanting to control things, wanting to fix things, wanting to know exactly how they're supposed to be. And if something has to be done, I'm the one who needs to do it because I know that it'll get done right. And I don't want anybody's help. And I don't want anybody to even watch what I'm doing because it's
Yeah.
just let me do it by myself. And I know that God knows that. And I think, sometimes healing is immediate. And sometimes when you're stubborn and frustrating like me, God needs me to know that He was willing to walk with me and I didn't have to do it by myself. And He was
Exactly.
willing to hold my hand. And no matter how rough and crappy and like terrible it got, He was there with me the whole time. And He never left my side. And He was willing to put up with my stubbornness, and He was willing to put up with all the broken pieces of me because it was worth it to prove to me that I didn't have to do it anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I think of like when you're having to break a wild horse and they just fighting the whole time, fighting, and then finally they're like, wait, I don't have to be in control. Okay, everything's cool now. Like obviously everything didn't get cool immediately, but I started to find hope. And I didn't take my life, and I thank God every day that I didn't, because I would have never gotten to marry my husband, and I never would have gotten to speak to so many people and share my story with them and learn new ways to love my family, even though I'm on the other side of the country from them half the time. And those relationships mean so much more because we're not just close because we're together all the time. We're close because there's effort there. And
Mm-hmm.
I've found a deeper love for people, and I found so much more hope and joy in life, and there's a peace that I have. And that doesn't mean things that are perfectly great all the time. There are so many things that still happen in my life, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like this is going to break me. But I don't go back to that place where I don't want to be here anymore, because I know that God is with me and we'll figure it out. And I don't have to be the one to figure it out anymore. And sometimes that is really, really scary because I'm like, God, I don't know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm going to need a lot of help because I'm trying not to white knuckle grip my life. Like, I'm trying so hard, and I really need you to pry my hands open right now.
That
But
release is the hard part. That release of
it's so
control, man.
hard. But he comes through, and it's awesome because I've been medication free since 2024, and I don't
Wow.
struggle with suicidal ideation anymore. And you know every once in a while I'll have bouts of depression again, but for the most part it's completely gone. And
Wow.
when I do get into those seasons where it's like I can't crawl my way out of this, I now know how to ask people for help. And my husband is able to carry me, my in-laws are able to carry me, my family back home is able to carry me, and it's a lot easier to get out of those places. And um I don't know, it's really cool to find hope in people again. I
Yeah.
lost that for a really long time. And me and my husband have found a church to go to back home, which I stopped going to
Good.
church for a really long time because I was hurt by a lot of church people for a very long time. And that's helped a lot, having a community of like, I don't know, just people that aren't related to you, I guess, come alongside you and care about you because they don't have to. Like, I mean, if
Yeah.
they're related to you, I guess they don't have to
You
either,
get you
technically.
get the
But
you get the obligation feeling sometimes with family. It's good to have a diverse array of people you can go to that are
yeah,
that are in your
yeah,
corner. And it sounds
yeah,
like it's I read something that I've got to ask you about because it sounds like you sharing your story has had an impact because I read something about a teeth tattoo movement that
yeah,
kind of happened based on that song. What's that about? Because I'm a
yeah.
tattoo guy,
So,
so I want to hear about it.
yeah, I've been apprenticing. I'm learning how to tattoo, just
Oh,
because
sweet.
I've loved art and I like tattoos, and I was like, that's really cool to be able to do for my friends, all of us are in bands and can't afford tattoos, so maybe if I can learn how to do it good enough, I can just help them out.
Nice.
And my father-in-law, he's a licensed tattoo artist, and so he's the one who's been kind of teaching me. And um,
Oh, that's
when we
awesome.
were talking about releasing Teeth Eater, I was just thinking of like Project Semicolon, and I was like, how many people who have struggled with suicide but come out the other side of it stronger? How many of them have this semicolon tattoo because it was this movement? Their story's not over, and they want to remind themselves that their story's not over, but then other people see it. And even if they don't have that conversation, they know what that means. And if they're struggling, they're like, it's a reminder for them too. And I was like, is there a way for us to do this with Teeth Eater and to help break that stigmatism, to talk about eating disorders even more? And I don't even remember whose idea it was, but we were like, what if we just put a little tooth on people wherever they wanted it? And it was kind of the same thing. And I was like, I'll do it. Like, I got a tooth on me. And so me and my husband got matching teeth on our like shin, like the side of our shins.
That's
And
awesome.
I started posting about it, and people were reaching out to me. They're like, can I get this? Can I get this? And um, we had like a mini tattoo convention, I guess, like around Uprise Festival when we went up there the year that Teeth
Oh,
Eater
that's
was released.
awesome.
And I had a lot of people in line, and we were doing teeth tattoos all day. And the
What?
I still get people messaging me. They're like, "Do you think I could get a teeth tattoo or a tooth tattoo at one point?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I had to take a few months off just for releasing the album and then promoting tours and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get back into it. But every time that they message me, I'm like, if I'm not able to, Joseph definitely will, because this is really cool. And I think it's helped, have conversations. My friend Grace Graber got it just to support me.
Grace Graber. I just came across her on Instagram
Yeah,
like a week
she
ago.
uh
She's good.
she came up to me and introduced herself to me at Live Fest a few years ago,
Oh,
and
sweet.
she is like the bubbliest person that I know, and she is the yin to my yang.
That's
And
awesome. I think I sent her a
um
message about coming on the pod like as soon as I found her stuff. I was like, it's good music.
Yeah, she's so much fun. And when she saw that I was doing that, she's like, I'm going to get one just to support you. Like, and I want to be able to tell other people your story. And she also works in a salon and does like facials and all different, like the cosmetic things to
Hmm.
help people relax. Like,
Nice.
um, she was doing some type of treatment on somebody, and they had asked her, they're like, what does that tooth mean? And she told them my story, and then she had a whole conversation because this girl had been struggling with an eating disorder and hadn't told anybody. And she was
Oh
like, I
my
don't know how to get the
gosh.
help that I need. And it was really cool. And she was like, Maggie, I have to call you because I have to tell you what just happened. And so it's cool to see, like, it's a very tiny, tiny aspect compared to Project Semicolon, but it's kind of a similar idea, just to start conversations and hopefully help people either break that stigma and talk about it, or maybe even get the help that they need. But yeah, I think sometimes having that visual reminder is just all you need sometimes too, because you look down, you're like, oh wait, that was a point in my life that I was at, and I'm not there anymore, and like look where I'm at now. And it's hard, how life gets busy, and sometimes you forget the progress you've made, and sometimes you forget these battles that you have like overcome. And so when you see something and it kind of takes you back to that place, you're like, oh, that's really cool. Look how far I've come. Like look how look at the great things in my life now. Like even though it's not always perfect, like look at the strength that I found. Look at the peace that I have. Look at, I'm not there anymore. Like, and that's awesome. And yeah, sometimes we just need a little visual reminder.
Dude, when you guys come back through California, if you come through the Central Valley, you can totally get some practice on me and give me a tattoo. I'm
All
super down.
right.
I got room on the leg. You put it
There
right
you
next to my
go.
sacred booger. Don't ask. Uh, it's a real thing.
Oh
But yeah,
no.
dude. Yeah. It's the only one of that I'll keep. I've got a lot of work that I want to do. I actually just started my first tattoo removal process
Oh
for
wow.
this shoulder just a few days ago. Folks, let me tell you, if I can give anybody advice about tattoos, be sure because the removal process bites.
I
Like,
have heard it's so bad.
it's so bad. I Yeah, it's getting a tattoo is a massage comparing to
Oh my
getting one
goodness.
removed. It's like,
Ooh.
have you ever had a really, really bad sunburn? Like
Yeah.
really bad. You ever been scratched by a cat?
Oh. Mhm.
Combine those for about two
I could
minutes.
not. I could not.
Yeah, get a really bad sunburn, have a cat scratch at it for about 2 minutes. That's the process of tattoo removal. It doesn't last long, but ooh, it'll light you
Oh
up.
my goodness. That's terrifying.
So be sure, my friends, be sure. But if you get one from Maggie, you're good. Keep
Yeah, it
that
would be
forever
good.
because that's the coolest story in the world. Oh my gosh! So you guys are touring, you're giving tattoos, you're doing all kinds of stuff. I tried so hard to pull you guys into the Central Valley with the Y2K while Nate was with you guys because
Hmm.
I, I I really wanted you to come close to home because I've never seen Seventh Day Slumber live, even though I've
Yeah.
been hearing about them my whole life and I've always wanted to see them
Hmm.
because they take all of the worship songs that I are like, all right, and then they rock them out, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now I can listen. This is
So, all
I enjoy this now. This is
right, cool.
fun. Now it fits. So I
Mhm.
tried to pull you guys in. I couldn't nail down a venue in time, unfortunately, but we'll get you on the next one. But
Yeah.
one of the things that kind of made me like, I want to see if I can make this happen was I had come across a couple videos and an article about that tour getting slightly disrupted uh,
Yeah.
with you on it. And I mean, I don't know if you want to go there, but I think in the end, from what I heard, some reconciliation happened. And I don't think that's a story. We get to hear about the controversy a lot, but we don't get to hear about the
Hmm.
follow up and maybe some of the stuff that came out of it.
Yeah.
So if you could just let me know how that turned out, because I thought I read an article that you had talked to a pastor and things got better.
Yeah. I don't know. I think sometimes people just assume like it's really easy to book a tour, and then like if a show gets canceled, it's like, oh, you just didn't want to come to our show or our city or whatever. And unfortunately, literally since the beginning of, even back when I was in a band with my sisters, but I feel like it ramped up when I started this solo career thing. Um, and I don't know, sometimes the music is a little bit scary to some people, which I can understand. Like I said earlier, it's like if you don't want this type of music because you know your congregation is not going to like it, like that's not a big deal to me. I sit out on shows all the time because people want more of a worship night or they want um just Seventh Day Slumber. I'm like, I totally understand that. I'm not going to force someone to listen to my music if they don't like that type of music. And
Yeah.
um, but we have gotten calls all like the entire of my existence as Magdalene Rose, like for people who don't think that I'm a Christian or people who think it's demonic and just stuff like that. And normally it's really, maybe not really easy, but normally it's easier to just be like, oh, whatever, like it's fine. Like they don't understand it, I'll sit out. Or like they canceled the show, like it's fine. We'll figure something out. And we're still on tour, and this is a privilege to get to be out here. So like let's let it brush off your shoulders. It's fine.
Mhm.
Um, but it seemed like, especially this year, that it kind of ramped up a little bit even more, and we were getting calls after calls after call, and it was just, we don't want Magdalene Rose on the show. We don't want Magdalene Rose on the show. That's not a Christian. How do you have her on tour? And like Joseph was having to go to bat for me on the phone, and like people were nitpicking songs or the way I looked, and like it was super weird. And I was like, I thought we were past this. Like I've already had to
Yeah.
explain myself so many times, and like I'm more open about lots of things, and I feel like I'm adapting to help people um be more comfortable, I guess, bringing our band into their church or their concert or whatever. And um it was a little bit of a different process for me because I grew up playing mostly in clubs and bars, and then going into touring with Seventh Day, they do a lot of church shows, and we for the first year did a lot of club runs with Seventh Day as well. And God just called us back into the church scene, and so I was like, okay, well, how do I kind of change my approach a little bit, because you want to make sure that you're just coming across the right way. You want to be respectful when you're coming to churches, and obviously, like, we're not. It's not that we're not being respectful when we're in bars. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you have to carry yourself a little bit differently, and There's a lot more younger kids, so you want to make sure you're available and you're not, I don't know, you want to make sure that you are available to however people need to hear from you. And so I feel like I had worked with my husband to be that and be adaptive a little bit and flexible. And if they don't like the really really heavy screaming songs, we don't have to play them. We'll take them out of our set list. And um, there was
Yeah,
a
because
whole
you
tour
have
that
a plethora of music at this point, and the
right.
first few things I heard from you, like as I was scrolling through Instagram, some of the featured stuff was
Mhm.
that deep guttural awesomeness that you're able to produce, and I've still never understood how girls do that. It's impressive to me. It's like, to me, it's the same as when I listen to the 80s stuff and the guys just hit that crazy high note. I'm like,
I know. I
how
don't know how
in
they
the
do that.
whole. So yeah, I actually just found a new band, not Christian, Wings of Steel, something like that.
Okay.
They're fairly new. This dude
Okay.
just, I mean, he's got that old 80s voice, and they look and
Yeah.
sound like the old, and that's impressive. So it's the same thing when the girls have that deep growl. It's incredible. But you sing too. And it
Right.
took me
Yeah.
through actually listening that there's melody in this, and so you can adjust the set list as
Mhm.
needed,
Yeah,
which is
and
cool.
there were tours that we had done where, like, for the entire month and a half or however long it was, we just did acoustic songs because they wanted more of that. And so, like, we can
Mhm.
adapt. And,
Yeah.
there are shows where I tone my makeup down because, it's just a little scary sometimes, especially when we play small towns. Sometimes people just don't quite get it. And so I'm like, I'm willing to adapt and I'm willing to be still myself, but in a way that is more understandable, I guess. Um,
It's honestly, it sounds like Paul, man. Right? I became all
yeah,
things to all
and
people that I might save some. So you're not you're not changing yourself. You are a multifaceted person, and I can adapt
mhm,
to my environment so that I can still get my message across to anybody that needs to hear
right.
it.
Yeah, and so we had been doing that for the last couple of years, and for whatever reason, this year just like I don't know, just became inflamed again, I guess. And Joseph was having to call people, and then like would finally get them to be like, okay, well, we can have her on the show. Just have her not play these specific songs. And it's like we weren't gonna play those anyway. Like we know not to do that in these areas. Um, just because maybe it's a little bit too heavy. Like that's totally fine. Like if you could have just asked that, we would have been totally fine with that. And then we get there and they're like, oh my goodness, I had no idea. Like I share my story. We stay and talk with people and pray with people, and they're like, we were totally wrong. Like I'm so sorry for the way this was handled. And then when we were booking the Y2K tour to go out to the West Coast, promoted as a rock tour. Everybody's in all black, like everyone's got the rock music, and I'm like, okay, well, this one will
Yeah.
be different. Everyone knows what they're expecting when it comes to this. Like,
Uh-huh.
it's just we know it's going to be a little bit heavier. We know that it's I don't know, it's a rock tour,
Yeah, it's
and
just that was the makeup of the groups and the
yeah,
artists, and it is what it
and
is.
yeah, and I think we had 5 shows booked and we were still like trying to book more. And then Joseph and Lori got a call from 3 of them and they're like, we're either canceling or Magdalene Rose can't play. And they're like, well, it's a whole tour package. Like, can you tell us what's the problem? And they're like, well, for the ones that were canceled, we're just gonna be honest, Magdalene Rose is the problem. Our people don't think that can be Christian, and it's just too dark. It seems demonic. And at that point, it wasn't even the music, and I was like, we fought for so long for this music thing,
Yeah.
and like I look like everybody else. Like I just have makeup on. That's the difference. And a lot of times the like dark lipstick is a really really big point for some people. And again, like a lot of times it's not super hard to just be like, okay, that's fine. Like I just won't play. Um, but this one was different because it was a rock tour and these shows had been booked for a month at least. And it was just somebody or maybe a few people on the board who saw the poster and were like, that girl can't come to our church. And, I was talking to Joseph from Seventh Day Slumber and he was like, Maggie, I know we normally just let these things slide and we we'll find a way because God has provided a career for all of us for however long. And it's, we've learned to trust him through these things. So, but I think it's important now that you say something, because this one isn't about the music. This one is about the way you look. And I know there are kids
Yeah.
that look like you, and we have the privilege to go to different cities, to go to different churches. If our shows cancel, sometimes another church will pick it up or another club will pick it up. We have places to go, but these kids, this might be the only option they have. Maybe they can't afford therapy. Maybe they can't afford to even leave their town or their city, and they just have no way. And this church is supposed to help them. But if they get turned away because they look like you,
Yeah.
we might lose them. Like, these kids are struggling with suicide. These kids are struggling with self-harm. They're struggling with addiction in small towns. It's rampant. And, so I made a post and I was like, guys, I'm not trying to force my music on everybody. Like, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know I picked a weird genre to enjoy and to play. Like, I know it's not mainstream popular, but this isn't about me anymore. Like, these kids are actively struggling. These adults are actively struggling. And I spend so much time talking to people either at shows or online, people struggling with self-harm and eating disorders and suicide, and just asking me to pray for them to get through the night. And I was like, you can't continue to stop giving these people the time of day, because there are going to be people who die. And that's going to be on somebody's hands because we turned them away, and because we didn't want to sit with them and give them the time of day, because we didn't think that they were worthy enough, because they looked evil or whatever. And I was like, there are going to be people that are weird to you in life and are out of your comfort zone. But weren't those the people that Jesus went and sat with and like spent time with? And
Yeah.
I just made that post and I was like, we've got to do better. Like, I was like, somebody's got to do something to change, because I can't keep losing these people. And, I've seen people take their lives because of that. And unfortunately, Seventh Day has like actively seen it, because a show got canceled and there was a suicide epidemic happening in that town, and they were coming in to like be with people and sit with them and cry with them, and the church canceled because they thought Joseph looked too weird or too different, or the music was too heavy. And 3 more people in the church ended up taking their lives. And I made that point as well online. And I know like social media is the worst place to even try to have a conversation or like fight for that sometimes, because sometimes people just want to argue all the time. And I made that point and someone was like, so you're saying that you have the power, only you have the power to save people, and because you weren't there they killed themselves? That's terrible. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just asking you to have a little bit more grace and understanding with people. And I promise you, I'm not this like chosen one warrior who is the only person who can save people.
But
But
it's an
we have,
opportunity, right? You got
yeah,
somebody in that town that maybe is of our ilk, that likes the heavier, right? And likes, is
right.
a little more on the edgy side of life. And but they're struggling with something. Maybe they don't go to church. They're not a Christian.
Hmm.
It's not a world they've ever really wanted to approach,
Yeah.
because they don't like the way that you look and they're weird about you.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden, these people come to your church and start playing this music, and they look like, and they're like, I think those might be my people,
Yeah.
right? It's easier to approach people that look like you.
Hmm.
The issue is that nobody ever walks down the street going, hey, look at the morals on that person, right? We
Right.
can't see the heart, right?
Right.
So appearance is just kind of the first thing we have to go by. So if you got
Yeah.
this kid and they see, oh, there's this concert coming to town, and everybody on the poster looks like me,
Hmm.
oh, I'm going to show up. And then they
Yeah.
get to hear this. It's not that you, Magdalene Rose, or anybody on that stage is going to save anybody. Paul never saved anybody. Jesus saves people,
Hmm.
but he uses various people in the
Yeah.
process of what he's going to do. And that
Right.
person might be willing to come up to you and say, I loved your show, and just open up to you in a way and have a conversation in a way that they might not with everybody else. And it's,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not, prophetess that's not what you're saying. You're saying
Yeah.
we're missing a potential opportunity here.
Hmm.
And we're shutting down that opportunity because of looks, which might be the very thing that kind of brings about the opportunity in the first place.
Yeah. And that was like the whole reason I made the post. And I was not really expecting much from it. I was like, maybe if anything, another church in the area will see this and will be like, oh, well, we'll bring you in since that show canceled. And like, maybe I can help out. Cause I was also feeling really guilty because I was like, this isn't just my job anymore. And it's not just Seventh Day's job. And like, we've had to deal with this. And so we know how to scramble and put something together. I was like, this is now
Mm-hmm.
Nate Parrish is on the road with us. Jason Dunn is on the road with us. Both of them have wives and children. And I was like, this is all falling apart because of me, and I'm putting their jobs at risk, I'm putting their families at risk, and that feels terrible. And
Yeah.
I had to talk with my husband and like my in-laws and stuff, and they were like, that's not your responsibility, this is not because of you, like you cannot hold on to that guilt, that's not yours to even
Yeah.
claim, first of all. Like you definitely can't hold on to it.
You're not
And
judging you.
yeah. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll just make this and maybe that'll help. And it just blew up within like minutes. And I had
Yeah.
never seen that much interaction on my page or like people coming to bat for me. Normally, like I make a goal of mine to try and answer every comment, try to answer every message I get, because you never know who needs at least to just feel seen, even if we
It's
don't
going to
have
be
a real
hard to scale.
conversation. And I was like, I can't, there's no way I can't do this. Like the amount of people that are sharing and talking about it, it was everywhere. And then news outlets started to pick it up. And I had been wanting to be in like Rock Feed and Metal Injection, and even Lamb Goat picked it up at one point, which is a little bit funny. And like Mosh Pit Network and like Tuned Up, all of these like big sources, Kingdom Core came alongside us. And I was like, I can't afford to get my music in any of these like ever, and now these people are just talking about us for free. And like so many people are coming alongside me, then all the Christian networks started to like pick it up and want to talk to me. And people were just messaging me like, I love you guys so much, don't give up what you're doing. And then like people were telling me
That's
how
awesome.
my music has helped their daughters, or how we were in their town and their sons or their sisters or whoever spoke to us, and now like they're doing way better. And people who had struggled with eating disorders or depression or suicide or anything like that, they were like saying, hey, this music helps me, but yours music specifically helps me, so please don't stop. And I was like, I had no idea. Like I was hoping our music was helping, but like you never
I
really
can't
know, you're
even
like, maybe
imagine
I'm
the
doing the
feeling.
wrong thing. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Like that was really frustrating and
A lot
annoying, but
of
now
good
I have
things.
all this good stuff, like all of these people like loving on us. And like we always tell people that you're not alone and you don't have to do this by yourself. And then we go back to the bus and it's like, well, I guess it's us against the world, guys, it's just our little crew. And it's like, well, no, like we aren't.
No.
Like there are so many people who are praying for us, who are cheering us on, who are telling other people about us because our music has impacted them. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is happening? And like, people were listening to our music, and I sold out of merch like 2 or 3 different times. And I've like, it usually takes me at least half a
I
year, if not a
know.
whole year.
Because as soon as you booked, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get a shirt to rock on the podcast." And I went on the website, and everything was just sold out. I was like,
It
"Okay,
was
never mind."
crazy. And they're like, I'm buying merch to like stand in solidarity with you and to support you.
Yep.
And like when we rebooked the entire tour, a club came from that exact city. It was like, we'll do church in this club. And
Let's
we
go.
set up there. We had a church like I think an hour, maybe 2 hours from that area, rebook it. And we got a bunch of other ones like along the way. And they're like, we're gonna rebook this, we're gonna tell people they're welcome here. And we just, everybody was talking about it and selling all of my selling me out of my merch, streaming our music. Like I had never seen those numbers before, and I was like, thank you, God, like this is crazy. Like I would not ever be able to do this by myself.
God
And
uses everything. Nothing goes to waste
yeah.
with God.
And then I started to get messages from people who were like, "Hey, I've seen all of these people who say that they believe in God and that their church would welcome you, and I haven't been to church in years because I was hurt really bad by it. But do you think you could pray for me, because I think I'm going to try this weekend, because if what these people are saying is true, if they really believe in Jesus and they really are willing to stand up for you, like maybe somebody would be willing to do that for me." And like I was able to have a ton of those conversations with people, and I was like, this is crazy. Like this is, I've never seen the body of Christ move in such like a global way before. 'Cause people in Australia were talking about it, people in like the Czech Republic and Germany were messaging me, and I was like,
Gosh.
they're like, sorry, my English is bad, I don't speak English, but I want you to know that like our church here in this country believes in you. And I was like, that's crazy. What is
Wow.
happening? And then I got a message from some of the people from one of the churches that canceled, and they were like, we don't agree with how this was handled at all. We've been trying to get to the bottom of this. Just know we were so excited for you and this whole tour to come in. And we were really hoping that it would work out, and we're so sorry for the way this happened. Like, we're trying to get to the bottom of this. Please know this was not like the entire congregation was not feeling this way. And then I got a message from the pastor that unfortunately had to cancel, and like I feel bad because I don't think it was even his decision. It was the youth
Mhm.
pastor who had to make the call, and like I wasn't even a bit like able to be on the call. He just called Joseph and was like, I just have to get this over with. I don't have a choice. I'm so sorry. And like,
Oh man.
Joseph tried to like talk with him and be like, well, can we do anything? And they're like, no, they're telling me I need to cancel this. I'm really, really sorry. And like, that was the end of the conversation. Like, nobody had talked to me at all. And his wife reached out to me and was like, hey, I have a message from my husband, and I just want you to know that we were both very, very sorry. And then she sent like, it was paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of him just apologizing for the way it was handled. And um, just him saying like, I see now the people that are affected by this type of music, and I didn't understand it before. And I really want to apologize for the way it was handled. And hopefully one day we can do something in the future. I'm going to do better about how I interact with people from now on. And
Wow.
I truly believe Jesus is working through you and in your life. And if we never see each other ever again, I know I'll at least see you in heaven, and we can like worship God together then. And I just hope you can forgive me. And I was like, I mean, of course I forgive you. Like, I'm not going to hold this
Yeah.
against you. But it was also really cool because I had never been even contacted by anybody who had canceled before, like a show like that
Wow.
ever. I was like, this is the first apology I've gotten in this capacity in my entire life. And so when I got that, I was like, okay, I think it's important to share this, because like you were saying,
Yeah.
it's really easy to be like, hey, look at this drama, look at this bad thing that happened, hey, let's
Yeah.
everybody talk about this. And then it just becomes this huge snowball thing, and people are fighting with each other. And I was like, this is not something that we should be fighting about, guys. Like
Yeah.
like
My
everybody calm
favorite
down.
part, my favorite part of every story, which we don't always get to hear, and was why I asked you about this, is what God does with it. That's my
Hmm.
favorite part of every story. One of my favorite questions about all of Christendom is like why it's the that why suffering, right? If God is so loving, if God, I'm like, guys, try to imagine, and I'm gonna make myself the nerd I am here. Try try to imagine Tolkien writing the Lord of the Rings so that the ring never got made in the first place, so that there was no problem with evil with the ring. You reading that book? You watching that movie? How does the end feel? Right? Oh,
Right.
yay, good things are good. It doesn't feel like, yes, oh, we
Yeah.
made it. Like the redemptive arc of history
Hmm.
is the greatest story ever. And
Yeah.
it's because of all the muck and the mire and the amount of God of glory that God gets for doing what he did for us, I think is
Hmm.
more glory than he ever would have gotten if we never needed saving.
Yeah.
It's mm, it's touchy because obviously his will wasn't for us to fall,
Yeah.
but he can use anything and you
Yeah.
can make the redemption of the thing so much more than it was before it was redeemed. It's
Right.
as Cinderella, who you might know, said, you don't know what you got until it's gone. Love my 80s. So I gotta ask, what's next? What's next for Magdalene
So
Rose? What are you guys up to?
lots of touring.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be on the road with Seventh Day until the end of October,
Okay.
which is
Oh
really
wow,
cool.
you
I
guys
need to
still
call
got.
my dad because we are doing the like um, Gene Simmons his like rock convention in Vegas.
What?
He is having us come in. Seventh Day owns like all this equipment so we can put on like big shows. So they're running all
Right.
of the
Yeah.
production for it. And then
Oh,
Seventh Day
you guys
and
gonna
me get
play?
to perform, I think, at least like have a little section or something. I don't know how long it's gonna be. I don't know any details. I just know we're gonna be part of it.
Okay, when
And
you have details, you send them to me
I will send them to you. Yeah. It's
because
crazy.
I
And
love Kiss.
the guy from Rat is gonna be there, and that was my
Nah,
dad's favorite band. So I need to call him and tell him because
you're
I'm like,
killing
Dad,
me, Small.
if it's one of those things where you have to pay to take a picture, I'm just gonna run with my phone as fast as I can and just get a picture for you, and then keep running. And
I'm
I don't
so
know that they
coming
can
to
stop
this.
me. Um, but that's really exciting. Like obviously like some festivals here and there, but a lot of just touring with Seventh Day Slumber all the way up until October. And then in November, it's a little bit scary, but a little bit exciting. Me, Blaise, Zach, and Weston, and our sound guy Austin are taking our tour van on our very first tour by ourselves with a band called Heal the Hurt and a band called Unbroken Rain.
I
And
saw that poster. Okay.
it is very exciting, but very scary. And I think it's like 8 days in a row, a day off, and then 7 days in a row. And
Nice.
we're gonna get our feet wet in van touring,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's a full club run, so it's things that I'm used to, but like, and it's funny because we played a club show with a band called I Set to Kill in the middle
Mhm.
of all of our touring with Seventh Day Slumber, and I'm like, okay, we have to kind of adapt back because we've been playing churches for so long. Now you have to like adjust the way that you
Get back into
perform
super heavy
again.
mode. Yeah.
So it's gonna be definitely funny. We are working on having new music out by then.
Okay.
And we just finished recording everything for the first song that we're gonna be releasing. We don't have a release date yet.
Okay.
But we are starting to get mixes back and like finalize some really cool ideas to then start talking about the song. So that's always really exciting because we don't like to just put a song out. We like to make it a whole like creative process and get people involved. And the ideas that we're coming up with are really really cool, and I can't wait to like start implementing them and get people involved and all the different
Sweet.
little Easter egg things. And but yeah, lots of new music. We have one that's gonna be hopefully ready to go somewhat soon, but we're hoping to have a few by that tour. If not that tour, then by early next year there should be a lot of new music coming. So I
Epic.
think we're taking the holiday of like December off to finalize all of that stuff, because
Hmm.
it is a little bit hard to record
Yeah.
in between
It's
touring and
hard when you're
stuff.
on the
And
road. Yeah.
so I think that we'll have at least December off to get our little creative juices going, and finish some really cool stuff for everybody. But there's a lot of cool release things coming up. I want to do another live stream concert. We did that when we released our album last year. And yeah, I have a Twitch channel, and our church has all like different like cameras for streaming and stuff. And so they let
Yeah.
us just come in and set up on their stage, and I just put my
Nice.
stream key in, and we had all the different camera angles. And everybody who
That's
isn't
sweet.
able to come to a concert, or sometimes you can't afford it, or sometimes you're in a different country, and they were all able to join, and we had people from all over the world watching. And so I really want to do another one of those. So
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe we'll just wait till we have lots of new music and just play all new music on a live stream, or if we'll do something for the holiday. I gotta figure all that out, but I've been telling the guys I really want to do another one of those because I think those are always fun. So yeah, lots of release stuff coming soon, and then tons of touring.
Ideas galore. I love it. Oh my gosh, we have talked about a lot of things on this. I love these because I get a general idea where these are gonna go, but like I said, I'm just talking to people about
Hmm.
their love for the Lord and they're what they're doing with it, and
Yeah.
I never know where it's gonna go. All kinds of stuff, guys. I'm going to get all of Maggie's info and all the links to all her good stuff, and I'm sure that she has some links, or we'll find some good links for resources for anybody that's struggling with depression or
Yeah.
eating disorders, any sort of mental health. We'll put those in the show notes below, so you guys can go visit those websites. And more to come. Hopefully, we'll check back in with you soon
I will
and
let you
see how
know.
things
Yeah.
are going. But this sounds like a lot of fun things on the horizon.
Yeah, we are excited to get people excited again. And just to, I don't know, maybe give them some things they're not expecting. But
Yeah, dude, this is a blast. Thank you so much for
thank you
chatting
for
with me.
having me, for
Oh,
making
of
the
course.
time and letting me
I'm
be part
sending
of
out
it.
requests, and some of them are out of the blue, man. When you answered me back, I was like, oh, yay. Metalhead on the
I really
podcast.
appreciate it. Yeah, it's awesome to always get to talk to people who understand the music and get excited
Yo,
about it.
the more musicians I can talk to on this podcast, the happier I'm going to be. I'll talk to anybody, but I definitely want to get the musicians on here and make it a nice hub for talking
Yeah.
about what they're doing with their art and whatnot. Because
Hmm.
like I said, that hits home for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, thank you again so much, guys. We will see you on the next one.